Alright, so once again, hello guys, and welcome back to our second class of our course about starting our own clothing brand. So in today's class, we're gonna talk more about how a business makes money and how you will make money with your clothing brand. So let's start. So the first things we're gonna see are some notions that is very important to understand for your clothing business and for any type of business. It could be online business or not online business, it's the same thing. So those three notions will be income, expenses, and profit. So why those notions are important? Because it's the base of absolutely everything. So when you are owning a business, the income you make is all the money that gets in the business without the expenses, without everything. So let's say you sell for $50,000. You own a supermarket and you sold for $50,000 in a year. So your income for that year is $50,000. Then you paid salaries, you paid rent, you paid everything, and all those expenses gave you $30,000. So this $30,000 will be your expenses. So that's the money that got out of your pocket. And the final thing is the profit. The profit is what the business really made. So the money without expenses. So very simple to calculate the profit. You simply take the income, and from the income you're gonna take out the expenses, and it will leave you with the profit that the business made. So what's very important to understand also is if you are making an income of, let's say, $1 million, but your profit is only $10,000, you better own a business that makes an income of $20,000 and make a profit of $15,000. Because in the end, at the end of the day, the guy who made an income of 1 million only kept 10,000, and the guy who made an income of 20,000, well, kept 5,000 more, which is $15,000. Once again, it's an extreme example, but it's really to help you get the point. So how any business makes money? Well, when I'm talking about money, it's really like how a business makes profit. It's very simple. The business try to minimize the expenses and maximize the income. So usually, let's say a business makes let's say a business makes 100 sales a year. So the business makes 100 sales a year. The business each sale brings to the business $50, and each sale costs to the business $30. So at the end of the day, the business made make $20 per sale. So if the business gets a higher income, well, sells more, at the end of the day, the business will keep more money in its pocket. But if the business sells the same, let's say 100 products at $50 each, but is able to talk with its suppliers and lower the expenses per product, well, the business will be able to make the same sales, the same 100 sales for $50 each. But if, let's say, the expenses go from $30 to $25, well, the business will make $5 more per sale, which is $500 more on at the end of the day. So, as I said, you can make more money by increasing your income, increasing your sales, or reducing the cost of your sales. It could be marketing cost, it can be optimizing your marketing, it could be optimizing your sales channels, well, how your sales process is going. It could be talking with your suppliers to lower the price of of the products that they sell you. There are different ways for you to make money in the business world. You not only by making more sales, there are other ways for you to maximize the money that you make. Finally, the third thing, the notion of risk. How do we calculate the risk? There is no real formula to calculate the risk, but the way I calculate it is by the profit that a business make. So let's say, for example, a business is selling high ticket products. So products that costs a lot. For example, each product costs $10,000, and a business makes 100 sales a year, which is $1 million at the end of the year. If On this $1 million, the business only makes, let's say, $10,000 out of the out of those 100 sales. This means the business makes $100 per sale. So at the end of the day, the business only made $10,000 out of $1 million of income. If there is any kind of problem, if there is any kind of, let's say, chargeback or whatever, the business loses everything. In other terms, let's say the business made $10,000 but got, let's say, two or three products that don't work. So the business has to give money back to the persons who bought the product. Or let's say there is a chargeback, it has a problem or whatever. The $10,000 will not be able to cover all the costs associated with all those problems. So at the end of the day, the business will lose money even if it made 100 sales. But let's say the business hires up its profit margin. So let's say instead of making, let's say, $100 per sale, the business made $1,000 per sale. Well, at the end of the day, after the 100 sales, the business will have $100,000 in the bank account, which means if there is any problems, anything happens, the business has money in the bank account to cover everything and still be able to make profit. So that's the same thing for you guys when you are starting a business. It could be an online business, it could be a real business, whatever. You should calculate all the risks associated with your business in your cost. So let's say your product you are, let's say, buying. Well, let's stay to a clothing business. Let's say you are buying a product for $20 per t-shirt. You're buying your t-shirt for $20 and you plan to sell it for $40. Okay, so you will have to calculate not only the cost of the product, you will have to calculate the cost of, let's say, all the administrative costs around this. You will have to calculate the shipping cost. You will have to calculate all the insurances. You will have to calculate a small percentage of your product for all for the risk associated with selling those products. Let's say in the case you have a problem or whatever. So that's why it's very important to understand that your cost is not only the cost of your product from your supplier, it's all those little costs put in together, and maybe the cost of your product will go from $20 to, let's say, $30. This means if you want to make a 20% profit margin, you will have to higher up your selling price at the end of the day. So after this, uh, how will you be able to make money with limited risk? So that's our objective in this course. The first thing, how I think you will limit, well, why I think you will limit your risk with this course is because you will create your clothing brand. Well, the first thing, we're gonna create your clothing brand from scratch. So I'll show you absolutely everything, how the clothing industry works. I'll give you once again a quick summary of everything. Why you will have a minimal risk. The main reason is because you will not handle no stocks. You will not have no stocks. So in any, let's say, traditional business, people own stock. So let's say you want to sell tomatoes. Well, you'll need to buy tomatoes first from your supplier and then hope that you sell all your tomatoes. If you're not selling all your tomatoes, well, guess what? You're gonna make a loss because you will have to throw those tomatoes away because they're no good anymore. Same thing with your clothes. Let's say, for example, you buy 100 t-shirts. Well, if you have the stock, you already put it the money. Well, you already give money to your supplier, so you don't have money that you can use to invest or whatever. In our business model, you will not own the stock. You will create your product. You will have your product ready, and everything will be ready. But you only buy the product when your customer buys. Well, you only buy the product from the supplier when the customer buys your specific product. And once again, at the end of this course, you will have absolutely everything. So you will have like the product itself, you will have the pictures, you will have everything, 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 and all the products will be custom made. Well, until a certain point. How the money will be made? As explained to you guys, the money is made after all expenses. So the selling price of your product. So let's say you're selling your product for $50, minus all the expenses. So first of all, the expense of the product itself. So you're buying a T-shirt for $20. So that's the first expense. Then the shipping cost, the insurance costs, if you once again need insurances or whatever, your risk cost, all this put in together. Uh, at the end of the day, that's gonna be your, well, all this and your product cost minus all this will give you your, well, what your selling price for the product minus all those expenses will give you the profit that you made per product. So usually I suggest to everyone to have a profit margin of, let's say, 25 to 35% at least after all expenses. So it's gonna be at least from 50 to 60% on the product cost. So let's say the product is sold for $20 by the supplier, you're gonna sell it back for at least $35 to $40. Once again, that's a minimum, so it can go as high as 100% of profit on the real cost of the product. But once again, this we're gonna talk about this in the pricing class. It's a bit later in our course. And the last question: what platform are we going to use for all this? The platform that we're gonna use is Shopify. First of all, why we're gonna use this platform instead of any other platform is because personally that's my favorite platform. I worked many years with the Shopify stores. I create Shopify stores for many years. I created stores. I created all kind of stores. I know how to use all the apps, and I'm able to present you guys how this platform works and how to use the principal apps to create a good looking store with all the products that you need. And once again, by minimizing and be able to minimize the risk, minimize all the logistical problems, so you don't have to buy the products, you don't have to wait for a supplier or whatever. It's really all integrated in some Shopify apps, so it's gonna really be easy for you guys. So once again, you will see all this put in together, you will be able to create a great store, and you will be able to sell great products to your customers. So let's not wait no more and go to our next class, which is create a free Shopify account, so you'll be able to start the creation of your store.